Hello. I believe that I am on live, although I have no idea what the sound quality is, um, or if anybody is on. Let me wait till 6 o'clock, and yeah, I'll wait till 6 o'clock. I'll just chill here. I don't even know how to determine who's on and who's not. Yeah, I don't know. Hello, sir. You didn't show up. Oh, hello. Let's create. Oh, 08. Yeah, I was busy. I think I'm gonna do the Japanese classes after this. Like after. I had so much chores to do. But yeah, I think I will do the classes after this. Now, I wonder how good my audio is. And, I was also absent last stream too. Looks sunny where you live. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was absent last stream because of my internet connection was bad. So I don't really expect many people to show up, but that's fine. I can still do what they call the live broadcast. Audio and video are fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, I can just do a live broadcast, and I think I just need to do a few, so I can get people to understand, like, oh, okay, this guy's actually doing it. He's not a flake. But oh, it's windy out here. It was very windy yesterday. We actually had I'm in Tennessee. This is Memphis, and we had a tornado watch. Yeah, and it was pretty windy. It's still kind of windy now, but I think it's cooled off. I'm in my backyard. Okay, busy. The last couple of weeks. Okay, that's cool. 7 and 8 shows this year, including CoverCon. Okay, that's great to hear. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just get rolling here. So welcome. This is 6 o'clock my time, Central Time, and here I are in my backyard, just chilling out here. Sometimes I have a little projector that sometimes I watch movies out here because I have like one of those LCD projector thingies, and I have like a screen. Sometimes I just, when the weather's good, and that's rare here in Memphis because it's either too hot or too damn cold. But here is some springtime, so we can do it. I also got the bug spray because over here we got mosquitoes like there's no tomorrow. So you'll probably see me applying the bug spray often. But we just gotta chill. The video is a bit blurry. It's like 240. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about that. Let's see what it says. It says excellent connection. Yep, right. Probably an excellent connection for my internet. Yeah. So first thing I want to say is, I was saying like, oh, okay, I want to do these every week. Now, if that would be the case, if it was all up to me, but the problem is, internet infrastructure here in the South, particularly like in Tennessee, it's not the best. Internet connections aren't the greatest. We're all right, but this is the rules. It's not the rural South. It's not the rural South, but yeah, sometimes the internet is pretty shaky. So you're probably sometimes we're going to get bad quality internet and bad video. You just gonna have to roll with it. Maybe it'll look a little better, but that's fine. This is the live stream. I'm still gonna do my regular videos when I just shoot with my camera and upload it. So those would be better quality. But I hope maybe the audio is better, maybe. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna try to do these kind of every week around this time. But if I skip a week, or if there's you don't see me this one week or another, it's because my internet is just not it's not happening. And that's that's life. But it is what it is. Oh, sorry. You might have heard some bumping noises. I was trying to see if I could. The wind is still still a bit aggressive here. Cooled off a lot. Let me see if I can readjust my microphone. Okay, that'll do. Oh, here we go again. Sorry, maybe I should just hold it. I'll hold it for now. There we go. I tried to do the windshield. I got the windshield. But I got this little. I'm using this microphone, this shotgun microphone, instead of my external microphones. So that's good. Sounds very windy. Yep, it's pretty windy. Yesterday was a tornado warning we had here in Memphis. Fortunately, that didn't happen. But I hear it happened in Arkansas, Little Rock, which is about how far away is that? That's like a 3-hour drive from here. Yeah, I have relatives out there, so it looks like they were all safe. But apparently, there was a tornado that did some damage in Little Rock. That sucked, but it missed us. Oh, no sound. Okay, my audio's back. Yep. It's okay. Cool. Back to normal. Okay. So, yeah, I don't really expect too many people to cop on because they probably like, dude, I came last time and you wasn't even there. so I think it's best to just do one and post it and let people see like, oh, okay, that's the situation. So then they can make the decision if they want to hop on or not. So I'll just do my little quick thing. And so we're going to talk about, the topic is this is the Black Ponderer. We do philosophy, and I'm trying to be more conversational, trying less to talk at you and more talk with you, because that's philosophy is about, like, a back and forth dialogue conversation. And I'm trying to introduce a lot more of that in my philosophy pursuit. And so that's what the point of these live streams. And so today's topic is, I think it's like reality versus idealization. How long is my flight from Tennessee to California? Well, usually they do the layover. How long is it? It's like 4 to 5 hours, like, total. But usually I have like a 3-hour or so. I either go to like Phoenix, Arizona, or like I think one time I went to Texas, Houston or something, and then I have like an hour and a half from there to California. Yeah, I never had like a straight shot, which is too bad. So yeah. So idealization versus reality. Okay. So yeah, this was fascinating, and the reason why I thought about it, I've been thinking about this a lot. Idealization versus reality. We oftentimes expect like perfection, right? And we don't, or like, we want the ideal, and it's good to shoot for the ideal, or like shoot for the stars and like land on the moon or something like that. This is saying like, yeah, you want to like shoot for the ideal, but to expect to always reach the ideal, that can be a bit problematic. You should always aim for it, but I think oftentimes you we kind of burn ourselves out, or like go into despair, or like we're like, oh my God, what's going on? We get into these existential crises because things don't turn out in our idealized way in our mind, but the life doesn't work like that, right? Um, and so I got this idea because I was rewatching one of my favorite movies of all time, which is it's called 12 Angry Men. It is an old movie. I think it came out in 1953. It has the actor Henry Fonda, I think is his name, like very famous actor back in the old school days. It has, and the acting is amazing in that movie. But the movie is about, it's old school. They don't make movies like this anymore, where it's a great film. It's about 12 jury people. They're jury, and they have to like determine whether they're gonna like send somebody to the capital punishment, the death penalty, because this person killed their dad, apparently, or they may or may not have killed their dad. They don't know, but so they're deliberating, and they get into this debate in the jury room where they have to determine the verdict, and it's pretty awesome the way it's just, it takes place in that one room, one jury room, and they're just like debating the whole time, and it gets really heated, and sparks are flying, and yeah, it's a pretty awesome movie, and lots of things are going on. But one thing that was mentioned, there's so many things I could talk. I can make a video just on that movie alone. But one thing that happens is the one of the jurors. I think he's he's an immigrant, and he's all about, he starts talking about, oh, America is great because you have this jury system where they don't have it in other parts of the world. Let me just look at Y488. Hello. I just heard about. I know, right? The tornadoes. They missed us. We were supposed to have severe thunderstorms and maybe a tornado, but it just didn't happen here in Tennessee, which is great. That's awesome. We got lucky. It was cool. But I hear in Arkansas it hit them, which is unfortunate. Debating is fine as long as that is not out of control. Yeah, so it gets kind of out of control in that movie because the problem is they're debating over like a very difficult thing. Like they have to determine whether this person is going to face a death penalty or not. It's their decision. So it's going to get like, there is no like calmness in that, right? Like there is no like relaxation. I mean, you literally have a person's life in your hand, so it's going to be intense. That's the thing. But yeah, the thing I brought up was one of the characters in the movie is he's an immigrant, and he talks about how oh, America's so great because we have this jury system where it's just a bunch of you just get a bunch of random people and who have no investment whatsoever on the case. They're not getting paid. They're not going to get any reward for this. They're neutral, right? That's the whole concept. So they're just like, in that way, it's fair, right? It's fair. It is like unbiased. You're not, there's no professional jurors. It's just a bunch of random American citizens. And it's such a beautiful system, is what he was saying. Which that's the idea, right? That's that's the ideal, right? But it's not like that. Is it? That I thought that was interesting. That and we do that a lot, right? Like we have these systems. Like criminal justice is a lot like that. We're like, oh, our criminal justice system is so great because we have these systems in place and they're so unbiased, and we have and we even set it up that way, right? The juror system, you just select random people who they give you a notice, and then you got to show up, and then you get called into and then you got to decide based because you're a citizen and you have no bias, you have no investment in the case, you're not getting like rewarded money, you just have to decide, right? And it's so great, that system, but that's not the case, is it? And the movie shows that. It shows like, no, actually these people are very biased, right? Like that whole idea of, oh, you just pick random people and because they have no investment, they actually do are invested. Even if you pick somebody who has nothing to do with the case, they still find some way to invest themselves in the case, right? And they still have these biases, right? And they still have these preconceived notions and these prejudices and these like ideas that like seep through in their decision making process that makes it not fair. Actually, it makes it not the process not fair. Okay, what's going on here? Yeah, 12 Angry Men. Yeah, that's like that's my second favorite movie. I love that film. So I saw it with my mom. She likes old ass. The movie came out before she was born, but she likes old black and white movies. So one time she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this." And yeah, that was a great movie. I heard maybe they remade that movie, but the remake isn't as good. A lot of my favorite movies they remake, and the remakes aren't that good. Uh, but yeah, that was one of the themes I thought was really interesting. The way they took this process of this this process of determining the verdict, and the idea is, okay, we're going to make it as fair as possible, but it's really not fair. Right? The way they do it, how you call in verdicts and then the lawyers come in and then they question who's going to be in and who's going to be out based off of what they want, right? And then there's all these vetting and all this situation, these and then the judge has his or her influence on the case as well. uh, it's and then on top of that, just it's there's no such thing as a person coming in unbiased. Like, all people are biased, right? Everybody has a bias. Everybody has preconceived notions, and everybody has prejudices just because of the society we live in and just the human nature, right? So, and I think, but that's not to say that our there should be a better system. In the jury system is it's a pretty good system. It's just we have to like understand its limitations, right? And not be fooled and think like, oh, we have this perfect system, when in reality, no, you don't. Or like, oh, we have this system that that eliminates bias. Actually, you don't have a system that eliminates bias, and that's something you need to put into account. Okay, any type of comments going on? Glad to hear that. So this is life or death. That's understandable. Yeah, you keeping a cool head. Yeah, keeping a cool head is, as long as the debate resolves the issue between people. Right, resolving whatever problem is. Debate. Yeah, so I know people. The whole idea of, a lot of people don't like debating, but sometimes debating is necessary. Like if you're in a jury and you're deciding whether or not a person deserves the death penalty, and there's some people who agree and some people who don't agree. You're gonna have to debate at that point, right? So there's no like getting around it. So sometimes that's necessary. So yeah, keep it a cool head, but I think also like understanding and recognizing like, okay, what are my preconceived notions? What am I taking this personally, or like, uh, what do I think, and is what I think based off of emotion or opinion, or is it based off of facts, or like what are the facts? I mean, do we even have the facts? Thinking about that. The judicial system in America much better than third world countries or communist countries where there's no law, where the repressed government is the law. Yeah, and there's a character in the movie who's from one of those countries who immigrated to America, and he's talking about, and he has great admiration because he's a juror and he takes it very seriously, because he's like, man, where I'm from there is no jury. It's just the government decides or the dictator decides what's going on, and you can get executed or whatever. But I mean, it's pretty bad. So it's not to diss um, the American judiciary system, but it is to say, like, it is not perfect, and it's far from perfect, right? Um, and it is leagues ahead of other systems, but it is also deeply flawed. And so, what do you take from that? You try and make it better. You address the issues. See, so what I'm getting at is, um, oftentimes we take systems for granted, or we assume like the systems, our social systems, are just like things in general that we are like, oh, this is perfect, or oh, this works just the way it's as is intended, or we create these structures that we think like, oh, okay, like this is definitely gonna work, and then it just doesn't, right? Because we are not like scrutinizing them. We could talk about all types of things. Democracy, for example, right? The idea of democracy is, a great idea, and we should strive for democracy. But um, democracy is very hard, and I think like, I mean, we're seeing currently why it's hard, and we have this ideal, especially in America. We have this ideal with you got the Lady Liberty, or even like that Lady Justice with this holding the scale, right? Holding the scale, and then she's blindfolded because yes, she only determines, she's fair and balanced. She doesn't let bias. She's blind to the bias. But I mean that's, and we kind of like assume like, oh, okay, yeah, that's who we are, and it's like that's actually not how it works at all. Mhm. Communist countries have pretty good judicial systems. Vinsky wrote a book, Socialist Law. Law is based on class. Whichever class dominate the state represses their class enemies. See, yeah, so yeah, that's another thing I would. So that's a segue I wanted to bring up, um, and it's fascinating. I don't want to talk as if. Let me get the bug spray. Here in the South, I don't know if anybody lives in the American South, or maybe you live in like humid parts of the world, like Southeast Asia or something. Okay, I definitely need to get a better tripod. Excuse me while I just apply some bug spray here, some bug repellent, because I'm not trying to get stinged. We're live. We're doing this live. We're going live, baby. It's my backyard. See, this is when I'm hanging out outside. Where I'm from, California, we don't need to do all this. But here in the humid Tennessee, you gotta like apply the bug spray constantly because these mosquitoes are aggressive. I got the all natural repellent, the one that doesn't have harsh chemicals. So that means you gotta apply it more often. But it doesn't, the carcinogenics aren't there. So yeah, what I was saying is I don't have all the answers, but so I'm more and more participating in activism, activist groups, and protests and mutual aid stuff. And a lot of people are they're really into communism and socialism, and and there are many great aspects of socialism. There are many good aspects of communism, but again, like there's the ideal, and then there's the reality, right? And I think one of the things that's kind of holding us back, is particularly when you start. I don't like, for example, there's the whole debate, capitalism versus communism, and I really don't like that debate. Of course, like there are huge flaws with capitalism, right? I mean, capitalism is there are many aspects of capitalism that are really, really fucked up, right? As as we're seeing right now with the economy crashing and all that, and the recession on the horizon and all this, inflation and all that, and then we can just go on and on and on, right? But communism is not perfect, and socialism, as we know, with communist states like the USSR, and they were not perfect. In other socialist states, and you'll tell that to hardcore socialists, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, no, what's going on is like influences of capitalism are infiltrating these socialist structures, and that's why they break down. Like you have like countries like Venezuela, or like a lot of these uh, Latin American socialist countries. What's happening is America is going in, putting people, empowering certain officials, and based off of capitalist ventures, and that's what's going on. So ultimately, capitalism is still what's destroying the situation. It's socialism's not at fault, but that's true. But it's also but there's also the fact that there socialism, there's some holes in that too. For example, right? It's more easier to an example would be Cuba, for instance, where Cuba, there are a lot of people in Cuba are now protesting. They're like, hey, we want some kind of capitalism going on here, not like ultimate cap, but we're behind. Like we want to like catch up to, we want to like start enterprises and stuff. We don't want to just like not progress. You know what I mean? But there are many great. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to like start like being like a pro-capitalist, like neoliberal type of person. I don't want to say like, yeah, that's why capitalism is good and I believe in No, 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 no. But I also find it problematic where people obsess over socialism, like as if that's like the savior. And when we have so many examples of socialist countries, or communist countries that have also faced a lot of corruption, right? So what's at fault here? Is the systems? It's not the systems. It's just it's the people that uphold the systems, right? There is no perfect system, right? Right? Because ultimately, what a system is an ideal, right? It's like, okay, I have this idea, and I'm going to put all these processes in place to achieve this ideal. Like socialism, the idea is, everybody prospers, nobody gets left behind, right? There's no such things as winners or losers. Like everybody wins because we all share our resources. That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. But you got to take into account like greed, right? Like you can't pretend. So the issue is, you know, and I know people will disagree, particularly socialists will disagree. I guess, and again, like I don't want to come across as like, damn, those damn socialists. No, no. There are many aspects of socialism that are great. Like free healthcare, awesome. That's a socialist concept, by the way. That's awesome. We shouldn't pay for healthcare. That's absurd. Housing. I ran a house. We just talked about that. Do you have the house? Let's create. Oh, it said, do you? Is that your house? No, I'm renting it. Why should I rent a house? It's just stupid. Like, why should every person should have shelter, right? And we shouldn't be like struggling to pay for rent, right? Because it's like a basic need, right? I mean, it's just dumb. Or like education, for instance. A lot of people don't go to college because it's too expensive. Why would I spend that much money? Which is absurd, right? It's absurd to even you got this sort of resource that's going to help you and it's going to help society, yet we price people out of it. It's just and then we wonder why people don't know how to, why our society doesn't function, because the knowledge necessary to do a lot of things is out of reach of most people, right? So those kind of things. The most in America, the most common reason people go into bankruptcy is medical bills, right? It's not irresponsibility. It's not like, oh, I was irresponsible with my money. It's like, no, I got sick. I needed to go to a hospital. I got this huge bill, and now I have to declare bankruptcy. Like, does that make sense? Like, that makes no sense at all, right? And that, those are the follies of capitalism, right? Where they commodify like everything. Everything is a commodity, even like basic needs which is stupid. Right? So I could talk all day about the flaws of capitalism, but yeah, let me go to the comments. See if anybody said anything before I continue. Yeah, okay, got that. Kind of, yes. Love the content. Oh, M loves the comment. Thanks. Would truly love to be friends in real life and chat and go for a run. Yeah, well, if you're in Memphis, hit me up. Oh, Saluma alaikum. Hello. I guess that's what is that? Arabic? I don't know. But hello. Hussein Abdur Rahman. And then Chris, it's like a religion. Either there is too much or too little to solve the problem. We got to apply the right about a bug spray. I know, right? Right. So for me, when we're talking about socialism versus capitalism, and that's just an example. I could use many other examples. I'll bring up another example, but we got to use both systems, right? I think both systems have their flaws and their weaknesses. I don't think they're even. I would say, like, no, capitalism probably has more flaws than strengths, and socialism probably has more strengths than weaknesses. But socialism does have weaknesses, and capitalism does have some strengths, right? As a lot of socialists don't want to go. They don't, you say that to like somebody who's a committed socialist, though, it's like they want to crucify you at that point, right? But it's true. And so I think we need to mix it up. Here's another example. Has nothing to do with social economics. It's funny because there's see, I'm in the South. There's bugs on my computer screen. we'll just ignore them. Hey, it's the South. What are you gonna do? They're not gonna do nothing. They're just gonna chill. But I'm subscribed to this scientist. I wonder if I could look him up. I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, let me know if you want to. I'll link the video if you're interested in the content. What was it about? It was about it was an issue with, oh, it slips my mind now. It was an issue of not cosmetology. That's beauty products. Cosmetology. Cosmology. That's the science of the universe. What was it? It was the existence of dark matter. Dark matter. Yeah, that was it. And this scientist was talking about this debate in cosmology right now. Some people are saying like it's all dark matter is matter that just light doesn't interact with, or like is matter that it doesn't interact with the matter that we know. But there's becoming, we're starting to see observations where that idea is being contradicted, right? And so there's this other side of scientists are saying, no, there's no, it's not the issue that dark matter is not something that is matter. It's just what it is we don't understand the laws of gravity like we think we do. And it's just the laws of gravity apply differently, and we just need to relearn like the laws of gravity, discover more about what gravity, how it operates. It's not that there's this matter that exists elsewhere that doesn't interact. It's just the laws of gravity are, we still have a lot to learn about that. So it's just back and forth of like, no, we understand gravity pretty well. It's just this is matter out there that we don't understand. We gotta like discover this matter, which we call dark matter. And then there's these other people that are saying, no, there is no dark matter. It's just gravity is we just gotta learn more about gravity. You hear the birds chirping, they're fighting or something. Or it could be like that situation where like the male is trying to mate with the female, and the female's like, get off me. That happens so much. I see that in the wild like all the time. That was like the male just forces, and then the female, could you get away? I think that might be what's going on. Anyway, and so like the scientist is saying, like in the YouTube video, she said like maybe it's both. Maybe it's both, like, oh, maybe there is some matter that we can't interact with, but it might be like slightly different. And then also like maybe the gravity, the laws of gravity, we still have more to discover. It could be both of those things. Did we ever consider that? Right. Right. And I like that whole idea of like, maybe it's like, it's both, or like there is like, maybe the solution is sloppy. Like it's a lot, like, sometimes we like to look for solutions that are simple or like straightforward, or like not so much complexity. But oftentimes like the solution is it's very messy. Like it's very complicated, and there's like not one category, it's like multiple categories. Like there's a lot of things that you have to do. But is there anything else? So are we talking about science? Or we can. Oh, and by the way, if I'm not tripping about like if you want to change the topic, or if you want to just ask a random question, that's cool too. Because we're just chilling. We're just hanging out. I got my background music playing, and probably I don't even know if you could hear it or not. But I didn't want to have it too high. So feel free to theory versus reality when it comes to science. Looks like your stream is rated X. Okay. Only believe in something that can be seen or touched. Let's talk about the mating season of bird. I know, right? It's also like squirrels. Because I hang out outside a lot, and I see it like insects. They do that shit too. It's like, somebody's trying to mate with somebody else, and it's like this constant like, get away from me, and then finally like, okay, whatever. I read as you know, if you look at the Black Ponder, I read a lot of books, and I read outside a lot, so I noticed a lot of that animal behavior. But yeah, so it's a mix often, like what is the solution? If we go back to socioeconomics, like what is the solution to our we living in this messed up, where the banks are crashing, and the wage middle class is getting smaller and smaller, and it's super hyper rich people that like why are they so rich? It kind of like it's so unfair. How do you deal with that, right? But at the same time, you do have that some people will say, oh, socialism is the solution, but then you have all these countries that also fail under socialism. Right. And then what happens is this back and forth, like, well, no, actually is that what's happening is these capitalist ventures are coming in, and but is it? I think we need a mix. We need some socialist solutions, and we need some capitalist solutions. We need both. We need like a capital socialist. One doesn't exclude the other. Right. they're not opposites, or maybe they are, but the opposites work, and that makes sense if you read. I'm currently my next official video will be about Hegel again, the philosopher Hegel, a science of logic, and he is all about that. He's all about how life is all about contradictions and opposing forces, constantly going back and forth. That's how life progresses, right? Uh, and life is a kind of dialectic in that way. It's a dialogue, a conversation between opposing forces, and then these opposing forces in this kind of interaction with each other pushes existence forward, right? Yeah, we'll talk about a lot about that on my next video. But what I'm saying, like the whole idea, like, well, you can't mix capitalism and socialism; they're completely opposites. But you can mix opposites in a constructive way. Lots of philosophy talks about that. Okay, let's see what's going on the comments section. And while we talk about reproduction, let's go get your barbecue ready and some beers. I know, Memphis has the World Barbecue Championships. Did you know? Yeah, I think it happens in May. It's the World Barbecue Championship. I never attended, but it's huge. It's barely huge. That's funny, but that's not gonna happen for me because my wife and my daughter are both vegans. so, so that's just not gonna be the case. Thoughts on Scandinavian form of Cody? Oh, hello, Cody. Thoughts on Scandinavian form of democratic socialism? Finland's often rank highest in happiness despite their weather. Yeah, I'm sure that part of the world they're very happy. I would kind of think like it has more to do than social economics. It probably has to do with the fact that maybe they just deal with less diversity. They maybe they're isolated up there and they don't have to deal with. I don't know. I think it probably would. I would assume it has more to do with. It isn't just like a social economic system thing, but that's probably a huge part of it. It's very interesting because in America, in the United States of America, we have a political party called Democratic Socialists. Right. I don't know if that's the same thing. Probably not, but it might be. I'm thinking it's probably based off of what they have in Finland. I know like Bernie Sanders is a Democratic Socialist, and as well as Representative of New York, U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think her name is, AOC, they call her for short. She's a Democratic Socialist, I think. But it was funny because as I said, I'm doing a lot of activist work now, and I was part of the Democratic Socialists of America branch here in Memphis. And I didn't really subscribe to. I mean, it sounded cool. I wasn't opposed to anything, but I'm like, I don't identify as that. I'm like independent or whatever. But they were doing some good stuff, so I was like, oh, I'll join. That's the thing. Like, I'll join a lot of groups if I don't necessarily agree with everything they're doing, but a lot of times I don't even review if they're just doing good stuff. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I was part of the Democratic Socialists of America. But what happened is they shut down because they had the leadership was in conflict with each other. It was like a drama situation. It was like a soap opera. What was going on is like the leaders were like just vying for power, and people were like, well, I want to be leader, and I want to be this rank, and I want to be this rank, and people were just it was just this drama. It was like Beverly Hills 90210 or something. That's what it was like. And eventually it just folded. It folded. Democratic. So there's no longer a Memphis chapter, or there might be a Memphis chapter, DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, but they're like basically non-existent. Which is kind of to my point is like, you have theory versus reality. Like idealize, you have this idea like, oh, with this system that we're going to adopt, we're not going to have these problems of like power struggles or or resource management. Is just going to, like, we're going to resolve all of that because we have these systems in place. But you got to also account for just human nature. And like some people are just jerks. I mean, yes, a lot of that is nurture, but some of that is just like you're just a jerk, and some people just don't want to break out of that. They just want to just stay jerks. So um, so democratic socialism, I've seen it gone south as well. I've seen it. I have not seen. I've seen democratic socialism lead to sadness as well as happiness. So I don't know. Again, it's like these systems are just systems, right? It's the people that uphold them, right? Um, which is not to say that the systems are not important, but I would say like the Scandinavian happiness or happiness in Finland probably has more to do as with other things. I mean, surely democratic socialism is part of that, but it's probably a lot more reasons as well. Okay, I think I got behind. So how you know you have intellect if you can see it nor touch it? Oh, that's Hussein is that's a philosophical question. What is that? Epistemology, right? Epistemology is a branch of philosophy of knowledge. Do we even have knowledge? Um, there's a philosopher, David Hume. Eventually, I'll make more videos about with him. I have some of his texts. I gave one of his books away to somebody for my anniversary video. David Hume, he believes like there is no we don't know anything. There is no knowledge, right? And I go over that. There's some videos I did of Hume where we talk about that. If you want to check those out. So I mean that's a hotly debated philosophical question. Do I think there's knowledge? Yeah, I think so. But that's legit. Some really smart people think like, no, we actually don't really know anything, honestly. uh, it has less to do with you're saying you can't see or touch it. They would argue like, well, we just don't know. Like Hume, his famous example is the sun. Okay, I do know these bugs are fucking messing with me, so I'm gonna apply some more. Okay, do you see them? I think you saw there was one in the video. They come out in the evening. It's evening here. Dang. That's one good thing about the wind. The wind was keeping the bugs from from flying all over the place. All right, take that. Okay, bug spray repellent applied. I probably have to do that in about 15 minutes from now. So yeah, you were saying touch, but they're just they said David Hume talked about the sun rising and setting, and he's like, how do you know the sun will rise? We pretend like we act as if we know, like the sun could explode. There is like a 0.00000, and I can go on for like a probably 30 hours, 0.1% chance that the sun would explode. But I mean, it's so minuscule. But you never know; it could happen, right? But we pretend like we're sure, we're confident. Oh, 100% that sun will rise. We don't know that, right? Do we know anything? Right? I mean, that's his argument. So you bring up a good point. Knowledge is just an accumulation of ideas from books or somewhere else, while wisdom can be obtained through experiences. The knowledge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Hume would argue like, oh, there's no such, like, people don't have wisdom. They think they they have all this wisdom, but they don't. And he would use examples like, bigotry, or like people who assume like they know people, like, you know, um, racism and discrimination and oppression are perfect examples of that kind of, like, he would argue like, people think they know what's good with people, and but nobody knows anything. Right? Or that, nobody is wise. He would equate that to wisdom, which he would argue like there's none of that really. Which is, I disagree with that, but it kind of, I can see his point of view, his argument. Knowledge versus wisdom. Yeah, I could do something. I could do another one. I could do that. Because I agree. Like, knowledge is like, when you go to Jeopardy, the game show Jeopardy, and you're just reciting facts. That's knowledge. Like, but wisdom is like the application of knowledge. Like, okay, how are you going to apply all those things that you know to make the world better, or to make yourself better, or help other people? Like, that to me, that's like that's knowledge. I mean, that's wisdom, right? And so there's a lot of people who are knowledgeable, but they're not wise, right? Because they don't know how to apply the knowledge that they have in a useful, constructive way. Starting to get dark. I wonder if I have this umbrella. Maybe if I put the umbrella down. I don't think so. I got to turn on the porch light. Let's see here. Okay, and then I fell behind. Wow, I'm really dark. Let me, I don't think that's going to help, but I'll give it a shot. I'm turning on my porch light and see if that helps. No, it didn't help at all. Oh well. Oh, it kind of helps. Oh, I just. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. See, I'm learning. I'm learning still. I'm learning how to live stream. My dog is barking. Oh. Okay, it's a little better. Okay. I just believe in a government that benefit the common people and not politicians. I know, right? Can we have that kind of government? I have yet to see it. Maybe what you're talking about, Scandinavia, Finland, maybe they got it. I don't know. But in America, we don't have it. That's for damn sure. uh, let's see. Intellect is what move you to choose the good between the bad, pondering the benefit and the harm in your decisions. Intellect? Yeah, I guess we're just like talking about word definitions. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I was just trying to see. I don't want to get too much in the weeds about like this word means this and this word means this. But so yeah, I agree. I heard the DSA was telling the Democrats pretty hard. Okay, yeah, I'm sure they are. Being independent is not. Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm independent. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democratic. I'm not Green Party. I'm just like, I'm just trying to vote for the lesser of the two evils at this point. Because Democrats, they got major flaws too. In my opinion, Republicans are like, I'll talk about politics. Republicans are a lot worse than Democrats, but Democrats are by no means perfect. And I'm just like, hey, I'm just voting for the lesser of the two evils. I'm not a fan of either. politicians should work for the people and not the other way around. Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, idealization versus reality. The whole idealization of a politician is, oh, you're a public servant. You serve the public. But the reality is, a human being, when you give humans power has this tendency to corrupt people. And power can bring out greed and, selfishness. Power does that. And some people are like they're good people, and they can kind of resist that urge and be like, no, I want to actually use this to help people, and I can put my other people before me. They're strong enough to do that. But many people, they don't have the skill set or the mental fortitude to do that, right? And that's what we got to keep into account, right? So we got to be like, okay, the reality of the situation is this idealized role that we call a politician is not like, or even a public servant, right? We say public servant is like, oh, this is a person that does good for society, but do they really? I mean, it depends. You gotta look them. You gotta constantly be on them. There will always be power struggles and some level of corruption, no matter what the system is. Exactly. That's I don't even know. Klug 12, Kludge 12, Klug 12. That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. So that and then the problem is we don't people don't think like that. We're not thinking like that. We're just like, okay, we gotta find the perfect system. The perfect system will solve all of this. It'll be like, we just gotta like figure it out. Like, we gotta put the perfect processes in place, and then when we put the perfect process, then people will just fall in line, and people will just abide by the rule. Like, no, because human beings we're the ones that are controlling these systems. We're so like, human beings are fundamentally flawed, and some people don't even believe that, right? They're like, oh, there's no such thing as a evil person, which, okay, I'm down with that, but it's like, all people have the capacity for great evil or great good. Some, we do both all the time, right? And let's not pretend that we don't. Like, that's the thing, and we see this more and more. Like, when we see our heroes and we figure out, oh wow, that guy was an asshole. Right. And then we got a whole like cancel culture thing going on with that. I don't know why. I just thought of example of that is, I mean, there's so many examples. I just thought of the Harry Potter creator who's getting a lot of flack because of her opinions on transgender, but it's like, yeah, then so people are like, oh, that's a horrible human being. It's like, well, she's a human being that has some really fucked up ideas, but at the same time, she also created this wondrous work of fiction that like lots of people are really enjoy and love. And like, I personally know people who it was because of Harry Potter, like they started reading, and now they read. They didn't read before. There was like, Harry Potter is like the reading rainbow. Right? Reading Rainbow was a show in the 90s. Y'all know Reading Rainbow, right? But it was the reason why a lot of people started reading. And then, like, after Reading Rainbow kind of fell out of favor, people just stopped reading it again. And then Harry Potter came out, and then all of a sudden people started reading again, right? Our reading became cool and hip. She did that, J.K. Rowling, and, that's praise. But is she, like, does she have some pretty fucked up ass ideas? And opinions? Absolutely. So it's like, and that's what I'm talking about. Idealization versus reality. It's like, when the reality doesn't meet the idealized version, we have these breakdowns. We're like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't, how could you possibly consider, like, okay, don't have a breakdown. Like, the story was made by a human being, and human beings they're both great, and they're also fucked up. Um, I remember the writer James Baldwin, great writer, one of my favorites. He was like, I think one of his quotes is, the human being is a great disaster, but also the human being is a miracle." Right? That's what it is. We're both. It's the same thing. Ah, that's how I feel. And then Hussein says the only person with the right to be the governor in society is the most intellectual person of this time that is able to govern with justice. But then you got to ask, what is justice? And what is intellect? Oh, so you're saying intellect is the ability to understand what's right and what's wrong. But how do we know what's right and what's wrong? Like, right, right. One could, a religious person would be like, oh, it's what God says, but that's interpretation, right? That's why you got, in Islam you got various sects, and in Christianity you got many denominations. Buddhism you got many schools, like there's, and then so forth and so on, right? There's debates within either religion, and then let's not even go to the secular, where it's like people are just like, I don't know, what this is right, this is wrong. So what's right and what's wrong, that's up for, no one person can determine that, in my opinion. Because a lot of these moral dilemmas are very difficult to. You gotta talk it through, and you gotta like add everybody's opinion in it to understand. That's what I think. Anyway, whatever you read may or may not be correct. The things you read in books are just authored. Yeah, exactly. Let's Create Plus 8 says, whatever you read may or may not be correct. That is definitely true. So you got to have like a critical mind. That's philosophy, right? That's why I'm really big into philosophy. It's like, so not only are you reading stuff but you're learning how to digest what you read and filter it and comprehend it and be like, okay, wait a minute, there's some problems here, right? I was just talking yesterday. I was talking to some Hegelians, people who are really into Hegel. And Hegel, he has some really good ideas. He also has some pretty bad ideas. Right? But Hegelians are like, they just take it all wholesale. Like, a true person is supposed to like, take in something and be like, okay, this is what's good and this is what's bad. Or this is like what's not useful and this is useful. So I'm going to like, either push the non-usefulness aside, or maybe I'll keep it and have it as a reminder, like, okay, let's not fall into this trap, and I'll take the good stuff, right? It's complicated. That's a good example of, like, again, idealization versus reality. Right? Reality is messy, and not everything is like, just clear cut. Right? Books are just authors' opinions of things. For the most part, yes. And I would even further say that with nonfiction, right? Because it's just somebody's interpretation or experience, which is valid. But two people can experience the same thing very differently. Which experience is more valid? They're both valid, but they're different. And you got to consider both of them, right? It's very fascinating. Even like scientific discoveries, like, we talked about cosmology, Isaac Newton and his idea of gravity was, he had all these laws, and then Einstein came over and said, wait a minute, that's actually not exactly right. And then it's like, oh, okay, we're going to have to change all this. The Newton stuff that we thought was right is like, we got to update. Right. And then now they're updating what Einstein is saying, because Einstein, he was against quantum physics, right? He was like, oh, that's just nonsense, quantum physics, that's just absurdity. But quantum physics is a real thing. Quantum mechanics is like a thing we know happens, right? So even he was kind of like, okay, maybe it's not intuitive, but it's not absurd because I mean, it's a real thing, and it's like we make solid predictions based off of quantum mechanics. So you can't take everything wholesale. You gotta use your mind. So this brings us back to philosophy of Buddhist emptiness. It can, if you want to go that way. That's cool. Yeah, a lot of it really goes down to people. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know. I'm the type of person, and sometimes I have debates with my butt. See, I have no problem debating because I don't like blow up and shit like a lot of people do. But I'm not one of those people who believes human beings are like fundamentally good. We're also not fundamentally bad either. But and that's where I kind of lean against socialism. Socialism is like sometimes it could get a little too like human beings are fundamentally good, and all you gotta do is put a human being in a perfect situation, and then they will always do good. And it's like, no, no, something like you do need that capitalism because that gives you an incentive. Some people are just lazy; they don't want to do it. But a lot of people would disagree. Um, they'd be like, no, no, human beings are fun. They'll do the right thing when you put them in the right situation. No, they won't. Some do. I know plenty of people who are kind, compassionate, and most of the time they will just do the right thing, or they'll put them other people before them. I know people like that, but I also know a lot of people who there's no way in hell they would do that. Right? And we gotta be realistic about it. Like, oh yeah, you're that kind of person. You're not gonna do that kind of thing, right? And it's not about like I'm judging you. It's just like that's just reality. Right? That's just reality. uh, I'm just like basing this off of my observation. Right. So let me go down. I'm behind here. Are you currently dreaming, and how would you know if you are or not? Yeah, that's like that movie Waking Life. I did a video on that. Check it out. Do you know you're dreaming? Uh, well, I mean, I do know when I'm dreaming because sometimes I can wake myself up. Right. Are you saying like, can you dream while dreaming? Like, can you do like an inception thing? But I think I'm not dreaming because I sometimes I am aware that this is a dream, and then when that moment happens, I'm able to like wake up. And sometimes that kind of sucks because oftentimes I don't have nightmares as much as I used to. So oftentimes I have kind of cool dreams, but then I'm like, wait a minute, is this a dream? And then I wake up and I'm like, damn. That's how I know. But I don't know. Uh, yeah, just like some engineers in the tech industry where they are full of knowledge but lack common sense like wisdom. Yeah, some of the stupidest people I've ever met have PhDs, and I went to university. I went to a what they call it, I don't know, prestigious school or whatever. I went to the University of California, Berkeley, which is like one of those high top of the line schools. But some of the stupidest people I've ever met in my life are like went to that school and have like doctorate degrees. So it don't necessarily like knowledge don't necessarily equate to wisdom. So it's true. I think that it was Plato in the Republic said justice requires an educated people. Well, I agree with Plato if that's what he said. I think he said that in the Republic, but also in the Republic, Plato thought like, oh, you just need to like you need philosopher kings, like you need a group of dedicated people who just learn philosophy at a young age, and then they grow up and they become like the rulers. But they do it fairly. Like again, that's like a ideal, right? Because what if those people get corrupted with power, right? You just assume. But what that means to me, like I think that makes sense. I think education should be free, even higher education, and it should be good quality. Like, of course, we got public education, but it's highly underfunded here in the United States of America. Very underfunded. People don't really learn. If we made it like resourced and like free, and then college and higher education just to make it free, then you probably would see a lot more justice going on in society. I mean, I think that's step one in answering that. Like, let's remove the barriers for education. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna take. I actually have to feed my dog, but I'll be right back. I'll be right back. And if you gotta cut out, that's fine. I see, but I'll be right back. But I'm not. I'll keep answering or responding to chats in a second. But let me just feed my doggy right quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And then let's see. Hussein writes, the relativism doesn't exist because if we look around us, everything has motives and reasons to be. And we as intellectual beings have an inner prophet that can distinguish the truth and the fake. Well, I guess a lot of people aren't using their inner prophet, right? Because there's definitely disagreement about what's right and what's wrong, right? I mean, that's definitely a thing. Like, currently, an example is passing in the state of Tennessee right here. They just passed a law. The government passed a law that says drag, the art of drag is illegal in public spaces and in front of children, right? And most of the public doesn't agree with that. They're like, there's nothing wrong with, like, that's it's okay to do that in public, and it's also it attacks freedom of expression, right? Which is like an American ideal, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Uh, but there are politicians in our state, in Nashville, Tennessee, who disagree, and our governor and such, who would say, no, that actually is immoral. That's immoral. So there's a disagreement. So where's the inner prophet? Like, who's inner prophet Some people believe something, other people don't believe something. So, I mean, another thing is abortion, right? Which is illegal in Tennessee. Uh, but if they did they do polls. They poll people here, and most people in Tennessee um, think abortion should not be illegal, right? But a few people, the minority people, do, and also our politicians believe that abortion is immoral. But so some people think it's moral, and a lot of people don't. So there is kind of this relativism going on. Like, there's who's in a prophet is correct, right? So I don't know. I mean, what's your response to that? I would argue power corrupts. Uh, Much like the philosophy of Taoism, or Taoism, it's all human nature. Everything has a gray area, and not everything is black or white. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you. So a lot of people misinterpret Taoism, and they see the yin yang, and they're like, that means black and white. That means everything is either this or it's that. Right? There's all this misinterpret. But yeah, like you said, Taoism is like, no, 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 no. Taoism is about like there's in between the black and white. That's where reality exists, in between. Right. There's a dualism, but things aren't either or. They're in the middle. They're in the gray area. That's Taoism sees. But that's cool. Could you discuss your Ranchi book? I would love your take on it. I'll put it on my list. Urantia. I'll type it on my list of things to do. I'll check it out at least. I'll look at the summary. Whoa. Okay, did a little skip there. Urantia. Let me just make sure I type it in here so I don't forget. Cool. You have a choice. You choose what you want to believe. Yeah, that's like Star Wars, right? The Force. You have a choice. Yeah, I was actually debating somebody. I think it was 2 days ago, or it might have been yesterday, on the internet about like, we that's another thing. Ideal, like we have this idealization that we have a lot of choice. We don't have much. We do decide a lot. That we do have freedom to a certain extent, but a lot of things are just outside of choice. Right. Oftentimes we don't really have choices. We just kind of have to just roll with it. um, I guess you do. You ultimately, let's see. Like ultimately, you have a choice, but sometimes it's a choice between bad options. And so is that really a choice? It's a poor choice, you know. Yeah. So sometimes, if we look at the reaction that causes our acts, we can clearly state its convenience or prejudice so that it's justice, the most convenient action that secure the right that every person has. Okay, if we look at our reaction that causes our acts, we can clearly state its convenience or prejudice so that it is justice. We react the most convenient action that secure the right that every person has. I'm not sure if I even follow that. But what I'm thinking is when I'm reading that is, yeah, oftentimes our initial reactions are based off our emotions, which are oftentimes not founded in logic. They're kind of like emotional responses, which you gotta be careful about that. There again, sometimes you gotta trust your gut. Sometimes you do have to follow your emotion, but often, a lot of times you can't. Or if you do, you're gonna be in some problems, or you're gonna cause some other people problems. So again, it's like sometimes, sometimes that's the case, sometimes that's not the case. Let's see, Nikola Tesla, more intelligent eyes. Okay, Einstein's theory can be wrong. Humanitarian, humanitarian. Okay, yeah. Uh, Einstein could be wrong. I mean, yeah, he was wrong about a few things, but I mean, his ideas, I mean, they're pretty powerful. I would say they're. I'm really seriously thinking like maybe Einstein is. I would say they're both. They're both at least equal, in my opinion. But I don't know. I kind of more lean toward Einstein. I mean, he did get some stuff wrong, but the stuff that he got right, like we are still using a lot of that to this. I mean, like for GPS, for example, we use GPS all the time. That's based off of um, his ideas of gravity because because for example, um, when you use GPS, the GPS shoots out a signal and it goes to a satellite, and then it comes back down to communicate where your location is. But because the satellite moves at a different speed than you, um, time time moves differently for the satellite than it does for you on the ground. And that's Einstein figured that out. He said time is relative, based off of your speed and like your gravitational force. So they actually have to do that calculation. They have to like when they send that signal up, they have to do that time differential equation, that time differential calculation to make an accurate location of where you're at the time. Um, and if we didn't have that insight, we would have incorrect location devices, which is pretty like that. But Tesla's he developed some really great inventions for sure. Definitely, but I mean, just the idea, like, oh no, actually, time and space, they're like the same thing. They're not different. They're actually the same thing. Space and time are the same. I mean, that's pretty mind-boggling to just come up with that idea, and then also to be like, oh, time is relative. Like time doesn't like, click the same for everybody. I mean, how could you possibly? I mean, but it's true. It's true. The faster you go, the slower time moves, right? And we have to account for that when we like send satellites into outer space and things like that, spaceships, or when we even travel like long distances with the airplane and stuff. We have to like there's these time differentials. So I don't know, that to me that's like an incredible insight. Like you got to be like that's like next level brain shit. That's me. He wants to. Yeah, that's cool. Now is that well? I mean, we oh, I'm seeing OBS Studio is not responding. Okay. Hopefully, I'm back. Yeah, we can provide free energy. It's not even an issue of like invention, but I understand what you're saying. You're saying like, well, he wanted to provide electricity, and he figured out like the way to do that through like how to like share electricity throughout like long um, cables and such, which that's cool. Uh, but the concept of free energy, uh, like the idea of that is, I don't know if that's his idea, but but uh, uh, but yeah, the notion and the whole having electricity travel through power lines and such. I'm just looking at the power lines that I see right here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's funny because you're talking socialism. uh, okay, where I lost. Did you know that Nikola Tesla invented wireless communication and wireless power transfer? Yeah, no, he was cool. He was cool. Uh, yeah, he was cool. I think you'll enjoy it. Have you ever read section? No, I have not read Sexual Personae by Camille. That would be a great discussion. Okay, I'll put it on my list too. Sexual. Is it erotica? No. Because that's what it sounds like. Which, hey, I'm down for that. Let's see. Try to convince or force facts is usually futile. I find it best to dialogue and provide help if needed. Generally, people don't operate on logic alone. That is absolutely positively true. And it's sad. Yeah, that's another ideal versus reality. Like, oh, just be logical. If you be logical wins. If you just be a logical person, and it's like, no, people don't give a shit about facts. And that's very, very sad. That's a very sad reality, but it is a reality. People, you show them facts, and it's like, no. So what you gotta have a dialogue with them. That's right. I experience that personally through my activism, where I'm like, you gotta just talk to people, and that's hard to do, man. That's hard to do because you gotta like, because I talk to people about stuff like police abolition, abolishing the police. That's a radical cop. People are like, what? Or like abortion rights, which here in the South, a lot of people are like, most people are um, for access to abortion, but there are a significant amount of people who were like, that's murder. And so the thing is, when I actually like talk to them, as a person who believes in free and safe and secure abortion access, talking to like these people who are like, that's murder, and you give them like all these facts about like, actually more mothers die when you restrict abortion, or like, there's more when you restrict abortion, more children actually go into poverty. And here's the statistics that show this is actually you're doing more harm when you do this. They don't want to hear that. But when you talk to them as human beings, like, look, I'm actually a human being, and I'm not like the devil. I'm not Satan. And then they have to be like, oh, okay, this is actually a person that I'm talking to. This is a real. This isn't like an avatar with a username with the random assortment of numbers, right? And like an anime character on. This is an actual person. So people kind of start. You disarm people like that when you're like, hey, let's talk about this. It's hard at first because they come in with that internet persona, but then you start having a conversation with them, and they're like, and you don't really throw the facts. You're just like, I don't think that's right. Can we talk about it? Like, this, and then you could kind of throw in facts, and then you can say like, why do you think this? Like, is this true, or where is this stated? Like, where are you getting your information from? That kind of thing. So that's true. Yes and no. It's erotica, but it's not erotica. Okay. Hello. Yeah. And hi, Kendra. Tesla built a tower that can send electricity through the atmosphere, because he discovered 0 point energy. Hmm. And through that a tower that isn't that like not exactly true. I mean, yeah, I heard. Are you just talking about like radio waves? Yeah, or like cell phone signals, which are basically radio waves. Yeah, I know now we can charge phones wirelessly, but we gotta have them in close proximity with a device. It's gotta basically be touching it. Right. Uh, 0 point energy in the vacuum of space, or energy of the universe. Hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to read up on that one. You can share a reference. That would be nice. With the Tesla philosophy of point. Well, I can talk about like Sartre. uh, Not Sartre. I'm sorry. Sade. Desade. Um, I think I could share my screen here because I'm using OBS. Marquis de Sade. Yeah, he was a French philosopher. Let me see what I can do here. Oh no, I don't think I can. Well, anyway, yeah. No, I think I won't do that. I could do it. Probably it'll take too long. Yeah. So there's a French philosopher, Marquis de Sade. Probably not pronouncing that correctly. It's French, and he's a famous philosopher. But he basically does. He writes a lot of erotica. He wrote that book, Sodom. What is it called? Which I've read. Bibliography. Let's see. Well, he wrote that book, Justine, which is basically hardcore porno. And then, yeah, you should, look him up if you have the time, or if not, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of his. Where's the one that's like his most famous work? It's like Sodom. Plays, no? Fiction. Yeah, Justine. Oh, yeah, the 120 Days of Sodom. Yeah, I think they actually made a movie out of it. It's kind of, which is very disturbing. Probably, I wouldn't recommend it. Might be triggering. But yeah, he's an old school French. I think he's from the 1800s, or maybe even earlier. I'm sorry. Yeah, 1700s. And he kind of is a philosopher about freedom and you know sexual desire philosophy. And what is it? What does erotica mean? And a lot of people are into him because he's kind of got that taboo sexual thing going on. But I kind of find him a little boring. Karma Sutra on the next stream. Yeah, I gotta get my hands on Karma Sutra. I would like to do a video about that. I got nothing, I got nothing against the erotica. We could do something on that. I don't know about like the ones I mentioned though, like Sodom. Maybe I think I probably have more negative things to say because I think he's kind of he's not very deep in his philosophical analysis. But maybe some people could be wrong. Yeah, that kind of, as Let's Create says, it's a pretty popular work, but it's a philosophical work. But yeah, bestiality and many other very off the wall type of, it's erotica, but it's like that extreme erotica that many people would find disturbing. So check it out at your own risk. Okay, well, it looks like, are we at the end? It looks like we might be at the end, which is totally fine. Yeah, it looks like we're at the end. If there's anybody, if you know, if there's no other questions or comments, I am cool with ending the stream. No problem with that. Um, yeah, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thanks for those who tuned in. I know it's, I don't think it was too many people, which is totally fine. We got a good amount. The people that came, thank you very much. I was actually not expecting anybody to show up, which was fine. I was just going to do my lecture on reality versus idealization. Because I know, like last week, like I said, I couldn't do it because of my internet. So I'm going to try to do a conversation video every week, but it might not happen due to my internet connection. Because, like I said, internet is not the best here where I live. But so you might have saw that with the quality of the video, not the best. But I'm gonna give it a shot. So don't trip, and I'm not gonna hold anybody to show up, and if there's a few people showing up, I'm not going to be tripping at all. I just want to kind of just leave it open for people, and if you want to show up, that's fine, and if not, that's cool too. Or if you want to show up later, watch the recording later, that's cool. It's up to you, no problem. And okay, thanks. Yep, thanks Cody, thanks for showing up. First time chatter, hello lizard lady. Yeah, maybe we'll see you next week. I'll be here. It's such fun chat. Yeah, philosophy is fun. And I'll figure out some topic to talk about next time. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace out. Oh, and I do this other thing. Let's create 8 no's. If you are interested in the Japanese language, I do this Japanese language learning thing on Twitch. I'll share I'm gonna do that next. I'll share the Twitch website. It's probably not up anybody's alley, but I play video games in the Japanese language to learn Japanese. It's part of it's part of my little small company that I do. I host this anime convention. I'll just post it here. If you're interested, I'm probably going to do that within 15 minutes or so. And if not, it's fine. But there you go. But until then, peace out. Bye-bye. I'll see you next time.